Okay. Now, one of the things he wants to really try for is he wants his other leg to be in front of my knee. Because if he's back and my knee is allowed to be out, we're not exactly playing half guard. We're playing potentially a single butterfly. Okay. It's not really half guard until he gets beyond the tip of that knee. Now my leg officially becomes trapped. And so if you're playing like a point game, somebody that's following the rule set of like IBJJF, which is almost nearly every gi competition you're going to go into, Matt potentially just scored an advantage. Okay, half guard in most gi tournaments where they use the point system with advantages and penalties. Right now, Matt gets to this position, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. He now gets an advantage for half guard. So as far as tiebreakers are concerned, although the score may be 0-0, he's winning. Okay. So through here, what I want to do is I'm going to get my knee shield in play. Okay. From here, I like to go in, my toes cross so that my ankle is low, and I like my knee to be roughly right around solar plexus. Okay.
Can you hold the
right into like those lower ribs. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna start from here. Is Matt's just gonna start driving into my knee. I'm just gonna go ahead and frame. If he wants, I mean, he can start trying to pick up on his knees. He can start trying to really drive in. But I just want to get a little bit of some confidence in what my knee shield can or potentially can't do. So from here, like I said, Matt's just gonna drive in, okay? And I'm just gonna use my hands. Go ahead, drive. Okay, I'm just going to use that position. Okay, now if he starts to drive up, like he starts elevating his knees, okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my knee go from low. If he gets up on his feet and he starts going in, I'm just going to bring it up a little higher. So now it'll be a little bit more mid-chest. So if he continues to really lean in and drive, okay, I'm just using my hands, then I can put my foot up on his hips. Okay, so just go in position with your partner. Put your knee shield right into roughly right to the sternum. Ankles are down low. And you'll find if I cross my toes, my knee sits right where I like it. If I cross my ankles, this foot drops because I cannot cross my ankles and keep that knee up high. It ends up dropping really low into the hip. And then all we're gonna do, top person, don't do anything with your hands. All I want is just weight forward. Just weight forward. Lean on your partner, lean on that knee, and feel what that knee shield can do for you. Lean some of it on your knees, okay? If it feels like that's pretty stable, okay, then lean in a little heavier to the point where you can start to pick up your knees and become really more weight bearing on your partner. Make sense? Okay, and again, nothing fancy. I'm not actually right now trying to beat Matt's knee shield. I'm just trying to put pressure up against it so that he can feel how much he can actually withstand from just that knee shield. All right, let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3. When Matt is in my half guard, okay, and again, I'm playing with that shield. Matt was just talking a little bit earlier. The game is I need to keep my shield in the middle. Okay, if he pushes my knee across, now he gets to put his weight on it. Okay, and then now his hands get to start to do different things. Or he opens my shield and then he just goes down the other side. So we have to play the Goldilocks zone in the middle. So your knee shield itself, and that's one of the reasons why when I'm in here, I'm anchoring it on my toes, is I'm pinching on his leg. So if he starts trying to push down, I want to be able to resist it a little bit. And again, if he wants to open it, I want to be able to resist it a little bit. But this is going to be that constant little battle that we're always going to be playing. So now through here, Matt's going to be reaching in, trying to get me. Okay, I'm going to take his head and I'm going to start to play his head down low. Drive in. Okay, if he just drives in and I allow him to start making a connection, especially as that comes in here, this is going to be difficult for me to deal with. Okay, So as I'm in, I've got a hold of it through here. I can frame, I can frame, I can frame. And I'm going to start to play his head, keeping his head low and making sure that now it's an interesting thing. If he starts driving in, okay, wherever your head is tends to be where your pressure goes. If a person's driving forward, if I allow him to keep his head up and he's driving through his forehead, he keeps going. If I take his forehead, put it on the ground, when he drives, basically it goes right to his forehead, and now he's just sliding his forehead on the ground. So I'm going to use my feet, okay, and I'm going to start framing him away, but I'm going to play with his head. Now that bottom foot is going to come out, and I'm going to start to play on his hip, okay. Now through here, I'm going to start to go after his shoulder on this side. So as he's driving, okay, I'm going to start to play with that head down, okay, and underhook into that shoulder. Now I'm going to hike his head, go underneath, and I want to hook the arm over on this side. This now gives me access to go after his arm on this side, okay, or my foot now is going to go up underneath, and now I can go into a butterfly. I know it went from, wow, that was simple, to suddenly going, holy crap, what just happened? So as he's driving, I'm going to start to play right here. As soon as I make the hike, take it back. So the parts that we can look at as being something that we know are almost going to happen. Okay, look at where his right hand is. He has to be afraid of me getting my underhook on that arm. So this hand has to play to the outside of my hip. Because the moment he plays to the inside, starts to play through here, there's literally nothing holding me to be able to just sit up and take his back. Okay, so let's just do that real fast just to make sure. There's a reason why the hands are where they are. So right here, I can frame up, frame up. The moment Matt's hand goes to the top of my hip, all I'm going to do now is cup the back of his elbow, push him to the front, get rid of my knee shield, and sit up. This hand goes over, okay, and through here, just cup into the armpit itself. If you can latch onto the hand, it's even better. Okay, but the requirement right now is just making sure that you get to the underhook on the far side. Okay, so again, we're just going to go knee shield, frame, 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 drive in, drive in, drive in. And the moment this hand goes to the front, okay, even if it's just here, if I can capture his elbow, when I pull, where's he at? Okay, and so the rules of the game say, if I get behind your elbow, I am behind you. Okay? If you don't have your elbow to the outside, that's what's keeping me face to face. And the moment your hand is the gateway to the elbow, so the moment the hand is in front, if I put tension in the elbow, guess where you're headed? If the hand is to the outside and I put tension in your elbow, where's your hand headed? Okay? So let's just hit that part real quick. Again, it just reinforces why that hand will be on the outside and why it won't be playing on the inside. So knee shield up, frame, 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 okay? And then partner, keep your hand on the outside, and then pivot your hand to the top of the thigh. When that happens, just pull the elbow, like I said, sit up, and you'll have a pretty much an instant back take. Let's just hit that for a second before we get to the fun stuff. 1, 2, 3. It needs to be on the outside. When we're in positions of this nature, whoever gets the underhook, it's not the end-all, be-all, but it definitively changes the tide within the position. If he puts his hand in front of me, he has just literally opened the gateway for me to be able to go behind him. And then also at the same time, if I'm in position, okay, and I got my knee shield in, if he gives me an opportunity to get in here, this also opens up a big gap. So it's very critical for him to be playing this arm in a very controlled position to try to not let me have these advantages. So again, when he starts to drive in, I'm going to play with his head, okay? And then I'm going to start to reach and play with that arm, okay? So especially if he's driving in, Sit up and drive, sit up and drive, sit up and drive. My knee shield's in, I can put my foot onto his hip. The more he elevates his hips, the easier my right leg becomes to get in. If he stays low, go back down. Okay, so drive in, the head up, head up, head up. If he's here, okay, if he sits down low, it's really incredibly difficult for me to get my right leg in. The moment he starts to elevate, okay, it's easy for me to get that foot up onto the hip. This is my space creator to be able to come in. Now when I'm here, okay, sit back up. So when I'm holding on to his head, drive your head up, lift up. Okay, how does he stay in this position and have any power? So keep your head up. Don't let me drive it down. 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 Okay, now all we're gonna do is a little pivot. And you see how his head goes underneath my thigh and my knee goes on top. So this basically takes us into rodeo guard, but Matt can feel it. This tension on that shoulder can be pretty severe, okay? So right here, if I just go into a crunch on the shoulder, he's already in trouble, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my foot and I'm gonna slip it inside. Okay, still holding on to the arm. Now that we're over, okay, I can start to connect. If I'm under his arm, we can connect. Go into your Kimura trap. Lock up the Kimura first, then sweep him, then lock him up. Go for the Kimura. You can kind of go either direction. Okay, biggest part's gonna be is when they're driving in. The hand, I would normally go for the underhook, pull his head. Pull his head down, pull his head down, pull his head down. Underhook the other arm. And remember, how is my space? My space is being created through here. He drives in, he drives in, he drives in. That's my space maker. The moment he sits up, there is nothing controlling my right leg anymore. My right leg now gets to come up. I'm underhooking, push him away, and make my pivot. You see now I'm hooking into the arm on this side. My leg is on the back of his head. And here, I can start to go for his arm going into my Kimura. Okay, where again, I can drop in, hook, bring him over, lock, and take him into the Kimura trap. All right, let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3. Okay, through here, I was taking Matt's head and pushing it, and then going under my leg. Okay, incredibly difficult to do if Matt is playing his head to this side. If I'm here and Matt's really playing, or even trying to put his forehead in right here, now that's a much more difficult game to play. Okay. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to start to play up on that hip, and I still want to underhook into his shoulder. Now I'm going to put my elbow into the side of his neck. So by the time I kick him out, forearm is going to be into the side of his neck here, and I'm going to be crunching down onto that shoulder. Okay, one more time.
See the hip motion though? Mm-hmm. That's the one thing you guys were struggling with.
His head's on the wrong side. If I'm trying to push it in here, it's not really going to work. Underhook. When you underhook, get the shoulder. Don't underhook out here by the elbow. Underhook by the shoulder. Okay. Now I'm going to put my elbow into the side of his neck and crunch. Now I'm going to make that same hip switch. Okay. So through here, as I turn my hips, this puts him down. And then allows me to go into the compression sweep. So when I'm in, remember when I underhook, get near the shoulder, don't go near the elbow. When I want to crunch down is his shoulder. So when that's in, he's playing this time deliberately with his head on the other side. Again, if we're playing half guard or we're playing that knee shield game, things of that nature, you gotta be thinking about that as the top player. One, my hand almost always is going to be towards the outside, especially if I'm driving in. And if I let my head play too far over to the other side, you're too easily manipulated. So as we're playing, going back. So as we're playing and I'm here, this would not be smart for me. Because look at my head, look where it's at. So now I have little to no frame. It's going to be too easy for Matt to be able to manipulate me. So when I'm coming in, I need to be playing more towards him as I'm coming in, making my drive. Okay? So now again, he's going to underhook on this side, put his elbow on the other side. Now he's got that crunch. Now he's going to make the hip switch. Come through. Once we're here, he's crunching my shoulder down. Yes, now he needs to elevate. Once his head gets high, any pressure he puts in, the only way I'm going to get rid of it is to start to try to roll and move. So that's what's going to ultimately start to put him on top. Now don't forget on that bottom foot, as soon as you get that opportunity, free it up and put it onto that hip. So that when now I can use this to make my hip switch as part of the game. Let's turn this way. So again, I'm driving in on that. He's got that knee shield in. I'm drive. He gets the underhook, frames into the side of my neck, starts to crunch, foot on that hip, go back.
Yeah, put the foot on the hip.
So right here, knee shield in.
The other foot.
He gets the foot up into the hip.
There it is.
So now, crunch into the shoulder. So now, look at when he makes his hip switch.
It falls right in that pocket.
Now fall right in. All he has to do now is elevate. And from here, he's putting pressure down on my shoulder always. Now all he has to do is an upa. He just throws his hips in. And it's done. So the upa, this is what we've been doing in our fundamentals. We've been doing it from basically that position. Okay? I'm coming up, crunch down, crunch down, crunch down. And throw your hips over. We've been doing that as part of our Kimura sit-ups and our hip overs as part of our fundamental from exactly that position. Okay? So most of this, as we're going in, it's using the feet as the frames. Again, bigger body parts, they can do more things. Use that now to start to isolate his upper body. Okay, again, before I was pushing his head in front. This time it's not an option. So all I'm going to do is get my hands gripped so I can get my forearm right to the side of the neck. Pull down on the shoulder. And then we make the same hip switch. So that Matt now, he wanted, all of his pressure was coming in towards my right. Okay, so now I'm forcing him to my left. Okay, and then again through here, this foot that's on his hip, that's an easy little breakdown. Take his hips out from underneath him, still crunch onto that shoulder. Even if I let go, this is still crunching. So that when I make my push, it's an easy motion. Let's give that a shot.